The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, JC, are you on?
Yes. Are you
Oh,
there?
yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, excellent.
If I lose you, I will connect back because I'm gonna go and get my car
Okay,
and the ground level.
okay, got it. All right, awesome.
Thank
So
you.
we've just got one more person that is looking to join, and she's
Okay.
having struggles joining in. So if you don't mind,
Sounds
I'm
good.
just going to switch on to another app while I'm just chatting to her to see her, support her. Joining
Okay.
in, and then I will be back on here. So um, you can feel free to be on mute, but it will be maximum 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right,
That's
excellent.
perfect.
And thank you for joining in
Okay.
the first place. Lovely to connect.
Sure. Come on. His name is Richie. He's in the J. So it's for I think we're in Q3, right? We're gonna walk. Hmm? Who? You and I, Daddy and Ginger. I'm not gonna promise, but maybe. We're going down. Yeah. No, it's okay. So you may have to go Chinese for a couple of minutes by yourself until I finish this. And the class inside.
How long is it? How long is it?
If we're gonna start 5 minutes late, probably like when we arrive, maybe like 10 more minutes. We're a couple of minutes early, so we can be in the parking lot. In the meantime, listen to this. Is your dad ordered the food or no? He didn't order the groceries?
We did.
Oh. I give him the list. Oh. Yeah.
How about you put the cards and when it's time to go in, we both go in
No.
and you wait.
Remember last week you didn't go, so no.
You wait outside the class,
I will wait outside the classroom. Yes.
not in the car.
No. Outside the class.
Literally right out.
But you better pay attention. You should be reviewing what you lost. You didn't learn last week. Please.
Okay, JC, the
This is
other
about
person's just joining
Kilimanjaro.
now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so it'll just be 2 more minutes. She's logging in, and it's just downloading at her end.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
I didn't check that temperature outside. Did you bring your coat?
All I have is a sweatshirt.
I brought a sweatshirt too, and I didn't see the temperature.
It's like 56.
56?
It's not cold.
It's sunny.
Yeah, it's sunny. It just has a little.
After that crazy wind this weekend. Have to be on.
You said it has to be on.
on the top. What he's doing? How many trucks he has?
One.
This is not Michigan having all the trucks.
Okay, JC, I think we have Anna Maria join. Anna Maria, are you there?
That's right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
And we also have
Yes.
Great.
JC who's joined from the US. JC, are you joining us from Florida? Where are you joining from?
No, I'm in Washington, D.C.
All right. Okay.
Oh, excellent. That's
And
where I
I'm
moved from.
Excuse me?
That's actually where I moved from. That's where I used to live. My husband's there right now.
Oh, which part?
I used to live on Massachusetts Avenue, but I worked on Capitol Hill.
Okay, great. I'm in the area they call Bethesda in Maryland.
Yeah, very cool.
Yes.
NIH, right? Too back in 2011. So we have so much in common. It looks
Oh,
like.
great! And I have one of my friends. Her name is Carmen. She's from Panama, and she wants to do this trip too. But I don't think she's able to join us because she's driving from the beach right now.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell her everything while we talk. But she
Awesome.
wants to do it too.
It's lovely that you both already have some stuff in common. We find that, and we say that there is no accidents, and there's loads of synchronicity which will show up between now and post summit. So really awesome that you guys both could join on. Okay.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Excellent. And also, JC, just so you know, both of you, this is also being recorded. And so if you do want to share the recording with somebody, you can. I will share the link with you after this. However, it might be better to get into a live conversation with anyone. And so it's a great thing that both of you, like today, you'll see it's great when people can get to ask questions. They're a lot more present and engaged in the webinar. And I will share with you a bit more about today and how this will go as well.
Are you both on the Jay Shetty group too?
I am. Anna Maria isn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, got it. Okay, can I just check that you guys can see my screen?
Let me look.
Yes, I can see your screen, Ronnie.
Okay.
Yes,
I just
me
have to
too.
give you. I just want to give you just a warning, pre-advanced, just in case. The internet in Dola is not the most stable at the house that I'm staying at. So if I lose connection, I'm so sorry, but I will try to get back on. And it's great to know that this will be recorded, so I can always catch up.
All right, got it, Anna Maria. Okay, so excellent. So
yeah, but hopefully.
So JC, why don't you've already mentioned where you are. You're joining us from Washington, and Anna Maria, you want to say a bit about you, where you are joining from?
In Dola, Zambia.
All right, excellent. So
oh, great!
Yeah, so we've got people joining us from Zambia. We had people last year from Zambia, Switzerland, Spain, the UK. We had some tentatives from the US and Kenya, and then the last year they couldn't join. This year we have people from the UK, from the US. We have people from Zambia. We have some people from Kenya that are looking into it, and it just keeps growing the more we share. And nothing beats doing something of this nature with a group and community who effectively we all start off very much as strangers, not knowing each other, not knowing each other's worlds and lives, thinking we are very much different from each other. And as the journey continues, we begin to weave our lives and our reasons and our why together. And this really comes together as a beautiful masterpiece by the time we meet in Moshi, Tanzania, at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. And as we go through the journey of the mountain and come back, I have now done this a couple times, and this is my third time I'm doing it. Everyone becomes really, really, really tight-knit family. It's amazing what this can create, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that as we go through today's session. So firstly, thanks for being on. This is info session for those of you listening in on a recording for the Kilimanjaro Leadership Summit 2018. It's the third time I'm doing it, but it's the second of its kind that we're doing as a leadership summit. I'm going to talk shortly about that. And it's running from the 30th of November to the 9th of December. So you need to arrive on the 29th or be in country anytime on the 29th of November, and you can depart on the 9th of December anytime, unless you're joining us for a 4-day safari, which is from the 9th to the 13th inclusive. And we will talk as well a bit about that towards the end of today's session. So to set context about what this is and why we're doing this, the manner in which we're doing it. I hope you guys have seen a change in slides. Just need to acknowledge sometimes it doesn't show. Do you guys see the change?
I haven't seen a change in your slides. I have not, but it could just be delayed on my end.
Okay. You should see an image which has people walking through a rainforest.
Yes, I do.
No, but please proceed. It'll maybe just take some time.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So what we have is this image of all of us walking through rainforest, which is the first day of the Kilimanjaro Leadership Summit. And the UK people, which is where I'm based, we tend to have a number of monthly treks that we meet up for in preparation for Kilimanjaro. And as international participants, you're more than welcome if you're ever in transit in the UK, or if you want to come simply for a weekend. You get connected with this whole group and community of people that are doing it. We already have a large number of people doing it. You're more than welcome to, if you are in transit, plan your trip via us. I personally live not too far from the airport, and we can always work with you, depending on how long you're around, sort out accommodation, place to stay, and maybe join us on one of the treks that we're doing. But when we were on one of our treks last year in preparation, we had one of the participants come, and they came with their husband and wife, and as a family, husband and wife and their daughter. And someone mentioned along that trip how much they were learning just by being with other people and outdoors. And they were like, not all classrooms have 4 walls. And I was like, that's so true. We're so conditioned to think that learning happens in classrooms that have 4 walls and a roof and windows for us to learn something. There's a beautiful quote by John Lubbock, which is, "Earth and sky, woods and fields, lakes and rivers, the mountain and the sea are excellent schoolmasters and teach some of us more than we can ever learn from books." And I have had some of the greatest leadership lessons in climbing mountains or doing anything amongst a group of people that is outside my comfort zone. So I really got that when I did Kilimanjaro in 2014, I did it just as friends, and we're doing it for a charity. And while that was still so much fun and it was still challenging and confronting, I thought, what a beautiful opportunity to take on something as challenging and a bucket list item as climbing a mountain like Mount Kilimanjaro, and combine that with leadership lessons along the way. So how can we make this such that it really becomes an environment where we can grow and learn together? And so we introduced the concept of what's called the Leadership Summit. I'm going to talk to you as we go through what that entails and what that looks like. Anna Maria, do you now see the new slide?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Okay, so if you guys have to ask any questions, please do just interject as we're going through, and I will stop. So, as mentioned, this is not just a climb. If you're looking to do just a climb, there are multiple providers out there that you can do this with. In fact, you could also use our own providers if you wanted to go, and I can directly guide you to them. But the 9-day Leadership Summit is something where we are bringing together a community of like-minded or not like-minded individuals, but they are all committed to growing and learning and developing themselves along the way. And the way we do it, as somebody that's trained in transformational leadership myself, and somebody that has gone through a host of transformations in my own life, in my own world, I'm committed to really bringing the tools and distinctions into sessions that we can use and apply on the mountain before the mountain, and after. And so we created a 9-day leadership summit. And what this looks like is we effectively are going to discover leadership in a tent. It happens on the mountain, it happens outdoors, it happens before the climb, and it happens much after the climb. Kilimanjaro is just an opportunity to use a mountain effectively as a coach for us. Kilimanjaro also, for many people, is a bucket list item. So many people, want to do this as a once in a lifetime thing. I'm fortunate to be able to be going my third time. And I know people that have done this, guides that we will meet, who have done this 170 times, right? So we've done this with very experienced people, and we've learned a lot from the way. We've worked with different providers, working with a new provider this time. We keep bringing the best of what there is to offer. We have also heard a lot of nightmare stories of people that have paid, either they wanted to go budget and went on a low cost, and then the hardships that they were faced where they run out of food or nutrition or poor rest or tent or camping facilities, and that this impacted their summiting. In fact, we have one of the climbers, one of the first people that signed up is somebody that did it last year with another organization. They paid about £1,000 less than the cost of this program, and they were 500 meters short of summit. Now they're paying for this program, and they're doing this again. And we're going to have a one-day workshop on the 30th of November. Everyone should arrive on the 29th at some point. And then from the 1st of December to the 7th of December, we have a 7-day climb. And then we come back down that day, and the definition of elation, I can promise you have not experienced in your life till you've come down Mount Kilimanjaro. And so we try and we party as much as we can with the energy we have that day, which is really great. We're buzzing, we're very elated. And the following day, on the 8th of December, we have a day of what I call Seva Day, which is a day of reflection and gratitude. So we get to really reflect on some of the learnings from the 8 days prior and what we can be grateful for. And we do this while looking at and visiting a charity that we'll be supporting. We have yet to lock that in, but likely it's going to be one that's working with children or people with physical, visual, hearing, or mental disabilities. And we will also be doing a tree planting exercise. That is a charity tied to our partner on the ground that we're working with for this climb. You have access to a global international community. I'll talk a bit more about the organization I run, FITBANKER, and we're looking to have 30 plus leaders join this summit. Last year, we had only 13 of us. We had 12 plus one of the lead mountain guides. And we had, in addition to that, we had 46 support staff. So altogether, it took about 59 people, 46 people to take the 13 to the top, a group of 59 in total last year. In 2014, we were 22 summiteers, or people that were climbing the mountain. And for that, we needed about another 60 people support group. This time, we're looking for 30 plus 60 support group. We will have 90 people in total. We're looking to raise, to create an additional side challenge, because we want people to develop the leadership in doing this. The invite is to do certain things that are outside our comfort zone. And one of them is to fundraise for our chosen charities. So we're going to invite every person that's signing up to fundraise separate to their own cost, which they are paying for, raise £1,000 minimum for a charity. Now, this is not a legal requirement, or this isn't something whereby if you do not raise the charity funding, you're not coming. That isn't the case. If you pay for your leadership summit, you will be coming, but we want you to get connected to how grand an item you're signing up to and what you're doing. And by signing up to this, you have an opportunity to also make a difference to people who will meet on the ground, who are part of the community, that support us getting to the top, the porters and the guides. Our promise is at the end of this, you will have one life transforming experience. Like, the people coming down are not the same people that go up. And we have raving fans who can attest to this, and the testimonials from participants who've done this previously about what this really did for them. People changed jobs. People signed up who said they didn't have money. People signed up who wanted to transform their relationship status and are from not in a relationship and now in a committed relationship within a few weeks of coming down. But the mountain kind of showed them that to be committed to get to the summit, they found out something about them in the area of, say, commitment, or when you face certain resistance or temptation points on the mountain, to not push any further or not go there. They found that they also do that, say, in their business or in relationships or in the area of health. And the mountain really does teach this in a very unique way. In addition to one life transforming experience, you also get a bonus global family that we get connected to. And we have a WhatsApp group of all these people globally connected who, every day you have the people from Zambia inviting the people from Spain and Switzerland to say, when are you coming over to visit us and stay here? And vice versa. When you come to the UK, you guys have a home and so on, right? So we really go through a lot of ups and downs on the mountain that really brings us together as human beings. What's included in this program is there are going to be 4 nights that we spend at base. So 2 nights before, the night of the 29th and the night of the 30th. And then when we come down on the 8th, the 9th, on the 7th night we will spend there, and the 8th night. We will have this big hoo-ha, drum, fires, and feast celebration. And we will have a night out that night. And we will also have the following day is our day of service and contribution and gratitude. And then the morning after, people are either returning or they're going off on safari, which starts very early in the morning. And so that's an additional optional thing to sign up to if you're interested in doing that. Okay, before I carry on, actually, before I tell you a bit about me, I'd just like to find out from you guys, Anna Maria and JC. I'd love to hear from you guys. What's your why that you want to do something like this?
JC, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Either one. Well,
Go
to
for
me,
it.
it's more about to know where I can go farther in my life. I love challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, Richie, it is about getting out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
So even though I'm pushing myself, I want to have more like figurative, like just climbing. And also, when I saw you on the group and talking about that, I also am looking for that community
Awesome.
of other people around. That is my 2 things, and continue going through life.
Got it.
Like pushing as much I can and put it in my life perspective doing this.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what I'm hearing is really growing in life and taking on challenges, and secondly is connecting and growing and building community. Is that correct?
Correct. That's my 2 points.
Okay, now I want to go a level deeper, right? And I want you to be open, authentic, and vulnerable in your sharing here, because, when you join this, we really become family. We go to another level. So I'm going to ask you, in your life, right, what really matters to you, that if you could have that area of your life dealt with or turned around, right, something that's really personal to you that really matters, maybe health, maybe leadership, maybe your career, maybe family, maybe relationship status, what is the one thing that you really are committed to turning around, that you see a challenge like this would teach you something about?
I have to will be my health, because I need to be taking care of myself first.
Yeah.
And the second one is my family, and my family will be my daughter. I just want to be a good leader for her, but not just talking about leadership. It's more about acting with my actions speak louder than words.
Awesome.
So that's the reason.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing, JC. Anna Maria, how about you?
Yeah, that was very touching and beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, JC. Thank you for your vulnerability. It came off as leadership already. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So yeah, Ronnie, for me, on the surface level, I'm definitely a very competitive person in life in general, but mostly with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through a few transformations myself. I did my first marathon before I even ran my first 10K.
Wow.
I just went straight into it and just told myself I was going to do it, and was really, really proud of my training and my ultimate time. And then I was just like doing half marathons and stuff after that. But my introduction to running was just like, I'm doing a marathon. And so I that's kind of just the personality I have. I'm also a CrossFit fanatic. So fitness is a huge, it's a lifestyle for me. I don't do the dieting and all that stuff. I just eat to live. I don't live to eat, so to speak. And so same with my sort of fitness. It's a lifestyle. It's an outlet. It's a way for me to reduce stress. It's a way for me to influence positively my family. But at a deeper level, I recently had a health scare here in Zambia where I thought I had a terminal illness. All signs led to something really actually terrible. And it was stress induced. And I was actually reading a little bit about your journey and your life and how successful you are and your banking career, and how you kind of had a similar health scare, which led you to make a complete, 180 shift in your life, which is really, really inspiring. And so I recently went through that, and I realized, was just kind of thinking like I was already starting to make end of life decisions. I thought I had stage 4 cancer, if I'm being honest. There was just so many signs that were terrible, and I was really, really ill for a while.
Got it.
And I was just kind of thinking about the things that I would want to do if I only had just a few months to live. And it's definitely family, just like JC said. I don't have any children, but I plan to have children with my high school sweetheart, who's been my husband for almost 11 years now.
Awesome.
And then also just wanting to be a better person for him and our future selves, hopefully more mature and wiser, and then for our future family together. But yeah, just kind of want to personal growth.
Amazing.
And I want to be humbled. Definitely want to be humbled through this experience.
This mountain humbles the greatest of people. We're going to look at a bit of that as we go through today's presentation. But Anna Maria, thank you so much for sharing that. Both of you, thank you so much for that. We will really get to go to a slightly deeper level in the workshops before the climb. And on the mountain, there are going to be some real moments of our humanity gets to be at its greatest when we're most humbled. That's when we actually clear the space of all the inauthenticities and layers of looking good and trying to portray a particular image. They get parked to one side because our best authentic real self has to emerge to take on what lies ahead of us. And there's no better place to do it than being surrounded by a group of other individuals committed to the same. Sorry, could I just ask you guys, if you're not sharing, then keep yourselves on mute because there's some background noise from one of you, just so it doesn't...
Yeah, I hear that too. Okay.
All right, got it. Okay. So, all right, so let's have a look, and I'll tell you a bit about me. And if you guys, another thing we do, when I say what we do, if you want to have any conversations around health, we can take that offline on a separate chat. So a little bit about me is I am originally from Zambia. I was there for the first 25 years of my life. And then I moved over to the Channel Islands and then the UK. And what I thought was a very successful career progression, moving from starting and studying and living and growing up in Africa in the middle of nowhere to getting a job in the financial hub such as Guernsey in the Channel Islands, and then to London, where I joined JP Morgan. And I very quickly made vice president, where I was for the last 6 years of my 12-year career in finance. And while I thought I was living what was success, what turned out was actually this geezer who you see on the screen. It was Ronnie, the fat banker. And I thought this was success, but it was quite far from it, because my conditioning growing up in life was that success is about money and power or your title. And yet it's far from so. This is an image of a moment when my wife and I were, shortly after we got married, we were 9 months married, and we were celebrating us being 3 months pregnant. And we were up in Edinburgh at a place called Fringe Festival, celebrating the life and the future that lied ahead. And while we were there, we had a miscarriage. And we lost our baby And it was a really, really heart-crushing moment. And it really got us very both emotionally strained. It began to impact us, between the two of us, that night, that evening. And the stress the following day continued. And on my way back, I got these random heart palpitations. And long story short, I ended up being hospitalized that night. I was in for a host of blood tests and checkups and ECG tests and ECG stress tests. And days and weeks followed of these checkups and meeting doctors and appointments and medication. And I got really, really clear for myself. I was still in banking at the time, and I got really clear for myself. One was, I didn't want to be the person that was living this life, that was someone that family had to worry after or take care of. And secondly, I knew very clearly that you don't have to be a rocket scientist to take ownership of your health, and that I could take ownership of my health, and I could find a way to turn it around. That whatever my friends who are doctors or nutritionists or naturopaths have learned, I can learn too. So I went through a very long journey of learning that, and I began to learn how to turn around my health. And I learned many things the hard way. Some of them caused me injury, and some of them caused me really long-lasting lessons. And what turned out was this guy. I went through this transformation from 108 kilos to 76.5. I used the science of focusing on your body composition and knowing your body type. So the science of body types is a 5,000-year-old science that comes from Ayurveda, the ancient Eastern science, and it's also used and referenced in the world of bodybuilding. There's what's called an ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. But I brought a hybrid of the two. I picked the elements of both that work for today's lifestyle. And while everyone may not want to end up looking like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, they may just want to get optimal health, which means they experience less of that fatigue that hits us by the end of the day, and they have peak energy, they have peak strength, and they also can get to lose unnecessary excess fat that they're carrying. And they discover that underneath all of us and our layers is this optimally primed body ready to have us operate at peak performance all day, every day. And when we alter the body, the physical, we alter the mind. When we alter the mind, we alter the intellect, and that they're all interrelated. And so we began coaching people on this science, and I started online health coaching through FITBANKER. We've had people do our program from 17 countries. This is one of our participants from South Africa. He lost like 17, 18 kilos in 90 days. This is somebody who's done a vegan plan. Her name is Rebecca. She's from here in the UK. She lost 15 kilos. She went on to lose 17 kilos. With a change in confidence and boost in her self-esteem and self-worth, she shifted her relationship status. She changed jobs. She moved internationally. She's now in San Francisco. This is somebody that was looking to start. They had a child. Her and her husband had a child through IVF, and they wanted to grow their family. And she was struggling, and she was overweight. And this is somebody from Lusaka in Zambia. And she knows me, and she went to see the healthcare system and the doctors and the medical system, and they told her, look, your only option is through IVF, and you are now too overweight to even start IVF, so you need to lose some weight. So she went and tried everything under the sun. She did diets, she did wraps, she did pills, she did everything, and a whole year passed. She lost 3 kilos. She went back to the clinic, and they said, you're still way overweight. We cannot start this on you. And so she finally reaches out to me, and she says, look, I want to do this program as it's designed, and I will do it. And so within 10 weeks, she had lost 10.8 kilos. She was approved to start her IVF process, and our program lasts for 90 days. So this was even before the program finished. In 10 weeks instead of the 13 weeks, she started, she got pregnant, they conceived, and instead of one, they ended up having 2 lovely babies. So they had twins. What's more interesting about that is, because they were told they could never conceive naturally, 9 months later, they've had a 4th child, because they carried on having sex, but they didn't plan to expect to get pregnant again. So now they have 4 kids, and they only had 1 and they wanted 1 more. They suddenly have 4. So there's a lot of bonuses in transforming your health. These are the guys that I call the Fit Doctors. They are popular in Florida. They run this annual health campaign called Drive for Men's Health. The image of them is on the left. I met them in 2015, and they used to drive around the US, and they're both top urologists. In fact, the guy on the right comes on Fox 35 in Florida. He's regularly on the news. His name's Dr. Jamin Brumbett. The guy on the left is a guy called Sijo Parakatil, and I call them the Fit Doctors. But they would go around preaching and training and talking to people about health across the US, but they didn't look or feel the piece. someone told them about me, and they'd come to London to give a TED talk. And as they came over to give a TED talk, someone said, when you're there, that evening that you're there, go and meet this guy. It's called the Fit Banker. I'm not really the Fit Banker. Fit Banker is the name of the business, but sometimes they collapse the two. And so I caught up with them for dinner. I explained the science of what we do. They took on some tips. Within 2-3 weeks, they're like, oh my God, we're losing 2-3 kilos. This is like magic. So they formally joined the 90-day challenge that we do. And then at the end of it, we had the side effect, which is the guys on the right. And so Sejo lost 53 pounds and this guy lost 36 pounds. Very simple science. And these guys are doctors. They know the science, but the implementation, either living it, is what makes the difference, not the knowledge. So since then, we've had over 200 lives transformed to do our program. We've had people from 17 countries participate. Our focus is on health. We're not so much about body image. However, body image does change, your shape does change because it's a byproduct of working on your health. We've had a host of other breakthroughs, like I shared, around pregnancy, around reversing depression, around high cholesterol and high BP being reduced and reversed, people that were diabetic being reversed. And we had people who transform and they have this newfound energy, strength, and confidence. And they're like, now what do I do? So we introduced treks, and we have monthly treks. Then we introduced retreats, and now we've introduced adventure and leadership summits. So we brought in, we realized our access to grow and make a difference out there is to develop leaders through our organization, and so that they can carry on to be ambassadors of our work out there. And so last year was the first leadership summit we did up Mount Kilimanjaro. And so that's what we're committed to do. I'm somebody that lives by, and what's really important to me is that I get to live my life to the fullest. And I really want to empower people, others, to do the same. I want you to know, Anna Maria, that you can. And I want you, JC, to know that you can. And you probably already do. You may already be doing that. And I'm just an additional avenue or an opportunity to say, look, if you want to, again, further expand your community and what you've covered in this little journey called life, then join me, because I'd love to take you to the most beautiful places of this world. I'd love you to meet amazing global leaders that are coming together from all over the world. There are some phenomenal people already signed up, from finance people to entrepreneurs to property developers to people in the health space to students to doctors that may be joining on this one, all coming together, lawyers, top lawyers that are joining. And you really get to meet these people, and it's a very, very good piece of energy that comes together. And so I live on the basis that we have one life, we have one body, it's one world. What is it going to be? Let's make the most of it. So since I've taken on that mindset, this was 2014. This was the first group we did. There were 22 people. They came from Kenya, from the US, from the UK, from Zambia, and one from Tanzania, I think. And we all got together and we got to do Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, you might think that me having transformed my health can easily do such, but you can see the picture in the front is me. I'm the big guy in the front. I was still 100 kilos. This was before I had identified this whole FITBANKER methodology and how to boost my energy, strength, and lose weight. So this was 2014, and 22 of us signed up to do this, and we had 20 of us do the final summit, which is this one. That's 20 of us in the image, and there were 21 of us reach the rim of the volcano. One lady had to turn back on day 4, and I'll talk about the certain things that have people not summit. And it really comes down to great community, great nutrition, a great team, great support structure. So let's look at the climb part. Remember, this is not just a climb. There's a day of workshops before. Depending on numbers, we may also have what's called fire walking. Now, I don't know if you guys have done fire walking before. Have either of you done fire walking?
No, I have not. I have not done fire walking. But...
Okay.
Yes, I did. I did one last year with Tony Robbins.
All right. Whereabouts?
I was gonna just say Tony Robbins. God.
JC, where did you do yours?
I did one last year in June with Tony Robbins, and that was in New Jersey.
Okay.
And I went to his seminar he called Unleash Your Power.
Got it.
And was really amazing. And after going for 12 hours of empowership, he made us to walk on the fire.
Awesome.
And was...
Yeah, I did Tony Robbins Unleash the Power within last year in London. And prior to that, I did another firewalking training as a firewalk trainer in Vietnam with another friend of mine the year before. So really, really awesome experience, really life transforming. And
Yeah,
so I'm looking at effectively bringing to the mountain an experience of going from fire to ice within a week, right? So we will have fire
that's
walking
amazing.
at base and we will summit. Now, the fire walking is tentative, so please don't listen to this webinar as that's definitely happening, and it's tentative on numbers because there is a cost and a team around organizing of it, and we're dealing with lives. It will be subject to us getting a certain numbers, and then I will be able to bring out a team to support me on that. So the more people you know can join and the more we can invite, the more likely that's going to happen. So about the climb, it's the world's tallest single standing mountain. Everest is the highest peak, but it's a range of mountains. Kilimanjaro is the tallest single standing mountain. It's at an altitude of 5,895 meters. To put that into perspective, most of Zambia is about at a 1,700 altitude. Most of the UK is about 100 meters above 100 feet, 100 meters above sea level. So we're more or less at sea level. And Kilimanjaro is at about 19,340 feet. Aeroplanes fly at about 30 to 35,000 feet. So they're just 10,000 feet above us. So we are pretty high there. You will feel the closeness to the sun on summit day, and you will also feel cold while we are that close to the sun. It's a 7-day climb. We will be doing what's called the Machame route. There are multiple routes to the top. We'll talk about that, and I'll show you the route that we're doing. We will cover anything from 62 to 80 kilometers. And I say 62 to 80 because sometimes there might be variations on the mountain, but we will likely be covering that over 7 days. So if you think about it, to do 80 kilometers over 7 days means you're walking about 11 or 12 kilometers on average if you split it equally across a day. But what we're actually doing is we will walk on certain days only 5, 6, 7, or 8 kilometers. In fact, most days is between 5 to 8 kilometers. On the summit day, we will walk up to 17 kilometers, right? On some days, we'll walk only about 3, 4, or 5 hours, mostly around 5 hours time frame. And on summit day, the total walk time will be about 16 hours, right? I'll talk about that and why that works on that particular day. There will be 4 nights accommodation at base, and this is effectively, in my view, one of the most luxurious places you can get. And safety is one of our primary concerns, especially where we're bringing people that have not grown up or been to Africa. There are certain things you just don't want to take for granted. I also want places to have a certain hygiene standard and quality of food. There are a lot of places there that give us a lot of food that are very high sugar rich and high carb based, and they're just designed to please the palate, please the tongue. I'm a believer in understanding functional eating, and food is something that's required for each of our cells and organisms inside us to function at their peak. If we don't feed each cell at a granular level, right, and we only feed the tongue, so we only please the first 3.5 inches of our mouth, right, then the rest of the body is at the effect of what the tongue has got hooked onto. So I'm a real believer in understanding that food, every gram of food has a particular role. If you eat foods that are meant to provide you high energy, and you're providing them at night when you're going to sleep, what happens to that high energy? It has to go somewhere and get stored. And that stored energy is what we call fat. And often it's unnecessary and undue fat. And then over a period of time, that begins to accumulate in certain parts of our body and it doesn't serve purpose. And then that's the trigger of lifestyle diseases. So we factor all that in and the coaching from FITBANKER into our choices and suppliers and providers and partners on this climb. The climate, we will go through 5 terrains. So we will go from a rainforest on day 1, like you saw the first picture, and we will go then to what's called alpine heath. Then we will go onto a part and a place that looks like Mars or like you're walking on the moon. So in case Elon Musk does eventually have his way and builds a home for us in Mars, at least those of us that have done Kilimanjaro are ready for knowing what the new homes will look like. And then then we get to a very rocky place, and then we get to snow and ice at the top. Right? It may not snow; it will just depend on the weather and time of the day. We will go from about 30 degrees heat, where we'll be sweating, and we could wear a vest at base, and we may go up to negative 20 degrees Celsius. It will be minus 20 on certain nights at summit. We may not stay at summit when it's at that temperature. We might have a good temperature during the daytime when we summit, but it all will vary on things like timing. But that's the temperature range that it could go through. Okay, Equipment and gear is needed to do this. This is not just a walk in the park. And equally, it's not what's called a technical climb. So Kilimanjaro, and this is an important thing for you to know when you tell people and you think it's easy or difficult, it's not difficult. It just requires sensible planning and energy management. So there is no picks and ropes and ice. It's not what's called a technical climb. It's called a walking trek of a climb. So we walk for most of it. There is one day where we will actually go over a wall. It's called the Barranco Wall. And the route we have chosen, Machame route, is specifically and intentionally to go over that. There are multiple other routes that don't do that, but a lot of people that we've taken love this, and globally people love this route and the wall because it's one moment where we get to use 3 of our limbs, right? Our, two arms and a leg, or 2 legs and an arm at certain moments. Or some people, I'm able to just do it jumping with our legs. But it's really good. It's a beautiful challenge, and it's something which, I'll be honest with you, last year and this year, I even want my dad to do this. My dad is somebody who's done my program, and he reversed high cholesterol, high BP, and he's 21 kilos lighter, and he's now 73. And he's in Zambia, and I want him to join me as well. So my conversation of inviting him continues, and but I want you to know that what we are putting in to plan this is something that will be at the comfort and increase the chances of success of a 73-year-old. So there's no stone left unturned, and we're going to make sure we really create and build the quality required for this. So the equipment that we need, the guides, the staff, the English-speaking staff that we need, because many people don't speak English, the ratio of number of porters, guides, there are waiters, there are chefs that take care of us, other things like, there's toilets that we take up there, there are showers that we take up there. Not all providers provide these, we do, right? I'm making sure these are brought in. I'm actually making our partners purchase these and our recommended ones. We also take on certain nutrition and food that is not locally found there, things like protein oats, certain nut butters we get from there, and a few other things that we bring to the equation that will give us reliable supply of steady energy to last us through each day, not sugar spikes and crashes, which will have us feel more tired than we actually are. On the 6th and 7th day, we start coming down. So this is the route. We will start from Machame village. It's at an altitude of 1800. We then go to Shira camp. So we go quickly. We go to Machame camp to 3,000 meters. We spend the night there. It's alpine heath. The next day we do an 800-meter ascent. And then there's a concept called walk high, sleep low. So from 3.8, we will walk up to 4,600 altitude. We reach a beautiful place called Lava Tower. We'll have lunch there. We come down to Barranco base in front of the wall that we see that's there to climb the next day. We will sleep there that night. In the morning, we get up, we start the climb over the wall, and then we carry on. And we will only do a 100-meter ascent, and we'll sleep at 4,000. The whole theory behind this is our body gets to acclimatize with what it takes to take in oxygen at a certain level, convert it to energy, and store it. Many climbers that do Kilimanjaro take these altitude pills called Diamox. We won't use them. We won't use them, and we don't use them, and we've never used them in our groups, and none of our team have, because we prioritize the rest, the nutrition, and the right length of physical strain. So many people do a 6-day route, which has a very low chance of success. Overall, globally, 60% of people that take this on summited. Our group last 100% summit, everyone summited. But I'm going to keep reminding you, and I want everyone mentally to know it's not about the summit, and we will talk about that. Then we go to Barafu. Barafu is the Swahili word which means ice. It comes from a Hindi word called baraf. And then from 4,600 that day, we start off at midnight. We pack all our stuff. We sleep at about 6 p.m. We wake up at 11 p.m. We have 1 hour to quickly freshen up, get some energy in us, get some coffee, and then we start through the night. We're walking up the mountain till we get to the rim. The first part of the rim is called Stella Point, and then we walk to the highest point called Uhuru Peak at 5,895. We summit there. We will take our group photos. If we're a large number and we want to do something that is of a Guinness Book of World Record nature, we might want to do a particular dance at that altitude. We might want to do a push-up challenge. We might want to do a plank challenge. I don't know. We can think of stuff. We love bringing a bit of fun to this. And then we'll start making our way down. We can't spend too long at the top. We start coming down, and we'll come to Barafu. We'll have lunch there. And after lunch, we will walk down again that evening. We'll be very tired. So we need energy, having walked through the night, getting to the top, coming down. We're now driving on a lot of adrenaline and excitosis. And then from there, we come further down and we sleep at 3,000 meters. We enjoy that night. And that moment, people haven't realized what they've done. They get up in the morning and they just look at the rest of that mountain. They think, wow, I can't believe I did that. And then from there, the following day, day 7, we come down and we reach the exit gate at 1800 by just after lunchtime. We're going to have a lovely lunch, head back to the hotel, and then we will have a bit of a celebratory party that evening, and then we can go out to the town and enjoy clubbing. This is another view of what that looks like, the same climb. Next to Kilimanjaro is a little peak called Mawenzi Peak, and we get to see this through the night. This is what it looks like when the sun first comes out. As we're walking through the night, we get to see Mawenzi Peak. Really beautiful image to see. So let's have a look at what it takes coming together. So before Kilimanjaro, you're signing up from Washington, you're signing up from Ndola. There are people who already signed up from the US, they're in Florida and Orlando. There are people here in the UK. We're going to connect on WhatsApp. We have a common group we're going to set up together. People are sharing their training. We're encouraging, we're supporting. People are trialing out their gear. They've bought their gear. They're getting broken into their boots. They're eating a particular way. They're experiencing getting sore legs or tired. We start providing you with input. You ask questions, you share your struggles, and I'll tell you, take this on, cut these foods out on your treks, eat this way, pack this kind of stuff in your bag. We want to get used to carrying a certain weight on our backs for a certain number of hours, and we want to get visually conditioned. You see, our eyes get tired before our body does. Our eyes will think, I'm seeing this image for too long, I can't do this anymore. Just like when you're on a run, Anna Marie, you might know as a marathon, you might be seeing how much more there is to go, and you think, this is too much to do, how long can I do this? But if you've been through that journey of running a marathon, I want to tell you that it's harder to train for a marathon than it is to do Mount Kilimanjaro. Training for Kilimanjaro is easier training than it is for a marathon. But it also is not something that is easy to be taken for granted. You have to do a certain level of consistency. This has got to do with consistency rather than trying to get to a stretch point. So with a marathon, you might prepare whereby, in your case, you're saying you went from not even doing 10, going up to running a marathon, which is great, but most marathon runners will build up their training from 5K to 10K to 15 to 20 and so on until they finally go and run the marathon. So this is a group on the left is a group from Zambia in Kitwe, and the top is group from Zambia and Ndola, where Anna Maria is from. On the right is Emma from Spain with a 5-year-old kid. She did this as a 41st birthday treat and celebration. The bottom is us. That's me. That's my baby. We were doing Brecon Beacons up in Wales. If you guys, we have a date of treks that we're doing in the UK. We have a WhatsApp group called FITBANKER Treks. If you want to be added to that, we can add you to that. So if you ever want to just an impromptu, I'm going to London for 4 days or a week or whatever, we can support you. We can support you in being here. There's a question, how old my daughter needs to be to do this? We will come on to that. And JC says, the event in the beginning of December, do you have another one in the month of June, July, or August? We don't, but I can talk to you about other opportunities if you want me to create one for you. So let's have a look. So Kilimanjaro Leadership Summit is, this is the day we're starting off. We all meet at the airport. It was somebody's birthday, Emma, so we're celebrating that. This is day 1 of the summit. So we are basically doing some workshop style sessions. This is everybody. Many people here have come from different walks of life. Some people have not presented on a whiteboard. They want to work on their presentation skills, their communication skills. We do an exercise called a life map exercise, and we get to know each other that way. We take us through the journey of what we've been through in our lives, our highs, our lows, places we've been, and so on. There's a gear and safety briefing that we talk off that evening before. Bottom right was our guide that we used at the time. We will have somebody else this time. And this is day 1. As you can see, everyone gets to get up and share a bit of their journey so that they get to be a contribution to the team there. Amir there was a guy, a Bangladeshi guy from London. He set the standard of no dress code, as you can see in his lovely vest and lungi. And it was awesome. It's really good fun. This image on the top left is what 12, 13 smiles look like before you've climbed the mountain. As we go in, we're registering there. People are signing in. You have to register as you enter the gate. The bottom image is the guides and porters who have to weigh in everything that they're taking up the mountain. because there are many providers you go with that would tend to abuse the health and safety of the porters and guides. But we work with people that work to a certain standard. So everyone gets to weigh in their luggage and bags and check that they have the right gear for their well-being up the mountain. As we go up, this is a group of people. We had a talk up there, we had a pep talk, somebody did a share or speech, and that might be one of you this time. We might ask one of you to say, can you prepare a piece to say or share as we set off? And some people might want to do a poem, a prayer, a speech, whatever it may be. We get our stretching along the way. We walk through the rainforest. You can see how thick it is in the bottom left. Real rainforest, creepers hanging down, very humid. It starts off on tarmac, and then it goes into gravel, and then it becomes real bush area. This is day 2. So we've now started, we're going through what's called Alpine Heath. So you can see the trees are more evergreen. We're going through a rocky area. Those are the guides and porters with us. This is the 3rd day of the climb. We're leaving, 3rd day of the climb, 4th day of the summit. We're leaving what's called Shira Camp. This is one of the most beautiful camps. It's on the edge, overlooking a sea of clouds, as you can see in Pamela's photo, the bottom left. And it is just so beautiful, so epic. On the right is the inside of a tent. So the mess tents where we all get together. We have our hot teas, coffees, our nut butters. We have stuff that's all healthy and value adding to us. That's really, really nourishing for us. This is Amir on the left. We have loads of hot drinks and teas we carry along the way. He loved his tea, this guy. And that at the top, on top right, is Kibo, the actual peak part of the mountain. And bottom right is, Charlene from Zambia, other people from Kitwe. And it's a bit rainy. You have to put on your waterproofs. And there's a lot of fun and games that we get to do through this process. This is the next day. We get to Karanga Camp. This is where we've gone now a big climb from 3992 to 4663. We're going from Karanga to Barafu. This is the penultimate camp before summit. And it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. So we walk through this. You can see this is the part which looks like the moon. This is the inside of a tent in the bottom left. There's Pablo, there's Charlene. People are smiling when the weather's good, and when the weather's not so good, we teach them how to smile. This is what it looks like. It is so epic. It's a very long walk, but this is trying to capture the path of what that looks like. And there are many ways to do Kilimanjaro. I'll share with you, this is us as a group. We get to be together to get to the end points and check in on each other and support each other. And you just discover new people, new cultures. You understand different lifestyles. Some people are very wealthy entrepreneurs here. Some people are students learning. There are people that are working in jobs. There are people that are all different walks in life and stages of life. But each of us leave our titles, we leave our wealth, we leave our assets at base. And on the mountain, you're just human beings. And you really, really get to connect to the authentic selves. And you're really there for each other. Are you okay? Have you eaten? Have you had water? Checking in. Have you got sunglasses? Have you put your sunscreen? The real humanity of each other comes out there. And this is another couple that came. This is a dad and son. They came from, I think, Arizona or Alaska, actually. And this was the kid's 16 years old. The dad's about 43. And they were doing Kilimanjaro. They did a 4-day route, so very intense. But this was the kid's 200th mountain that he was doing. He's done 199 prior. This was his 200th mountain. And it was so good for them to be able to do this together. But they've been doing this for a lot of their life. It may have been challenging for the dad. The son was always ahead of him. But sometimes being ahead is not an advantage, right? We will talk about that when you're really fit and when you're really competitive. Anna Maria, as you mentioned, competitive. I'm going to talk to you about some of the setbacks of being competitive. The secret to this mountain is consistency, patience, and a good pace, not a fast pace. And I will talk to you a bit more about that. We then walk through the night. After that, we have our supper that night and we start walking through. And as we walk through, that moment the sun breaks out. Oh my God, it's been cold through the night. We've been trying to have as much of our warm and hot drinks that we can. And then we feel the sun come and hit the back of our necks. It is a beautiful feeling after we've been freezing. It's probably about -3, -4, -5 at night as walking through. We're layered up. We've got all the wrappings around us. This is everyone coming over and take their first photo of the first break of sunlight. That's Pam. That one is Jatin and Bonnie from the UK. This is Jatin from Zambia. So this is the first part of the rim. If you look to the right, there's inside the crater, and there's ice there at the bottom of that crater. That's inside the dip of the crater on the summit of Kilimanjaro. This first point is called Stella Point. Now, I'll mention this point now, and I will mention this point multiple times as we prepare for the mountain. This is at an altitude of 5,756 meters. And we need to still do about 140 meters to get to the summit, which is the highest peak in the background there. That's called Uhuru Peak. Many people get here and they mentally and physically switch off, thinking, I can't go anymore. And my job is to really say, you know what? You've done 99.7% of this mountain. I want to invite you to not live with, I didn't do the 0.03% for the rest of your life. And might require a pep talk for some. It might require a bit of, fact checking, or just have a rest there, breathe, really realize what you're about to do before you choose to turn back. And we had 100% of these guys come to the final summit. What you miss if you turn back is you miss out on these beautiful, massive glaciers. Now, these are apparently declining in size with global warming. And our climber has seen these from being massive. He was doing his 53rd time. He started in the 80s. And to where it is now, it's a very different level. This is Charlene from Zambia. She has a Zambia gear there. So we invite people to bring their gear. If you've seen the movie, the cartoon, the Disney cartoon Frozen, those big ice castles that you see is actually what these big ice castles look like. So these are the first people getting to the final summit. That's Uhuru Peak. We have Amir, we have Emma, we have one of the guides there. And sorry, bear with me, guys. Sorry, guys, this is a time check. I know we're at 7 p.m. and I am slightly running over. Are you both okay for another 15 more minutes?
I'm okay.
Yes, I'm okay too.
All right. Okay. Sorry for the overrun. It's just we're taking slightly longer, and I didn't want to overstep anything that would really love for you to see. Okay, I'm just messaging someone I need to get on a call with. Okay. So this is the final summit. People get to bring out their country's flags. That's Pam. A mom's from Guinea, a dad's from somewhere in the I think West Indies or BVI. And she's representing UK and Guinea in that image. We have people bringing their Zambia flag and Zambia gear. And we have people like Charlene. Anna Maria, you know Charlene, right?
Here on Earth, and a really, really good friend of mine. So yes.
Awesome. She loved it. She loved it. There's a company brand there. So this is me with her representing Busybodies Gym. And the summit day was 23rd November, so she had prepared this flyer for that. We should ask summit day. For this climb, the summit day will be 6th of December. And so we're moving slightly into December because it will be slightly better weather statistically, but we can never forecast any day. Every day is different. And everyone came, the first 10 summited. And there was one girl who, she signed up to the program being 113 kilos when I first knew her. She did my program and she lost 15.8 kilos in 90 days. At the time she signed up to Kilimanjaro, she was 108 kg. By the day we started our summit, she was 93 kilos. So she got, from signing up, an area she wanted to transform was her health and also her career. She was in a job that wasn't paying her, that she couldn't afford to do this. She didn't have money. So we coached her and supported her in getting a new job that had a rise and a pay to afford this trip. She lost 15 kilos along the way. She boosted her confidence coming on the treks. And through the night and through the days, there were many moments where she felt confronted. She got broken down. She went into a mental and emotional state where she was a victim in the story of her life. And through coaching people, which is what I'm there for, which is why I'm coming, is I want to find you at your broken moment. I want to find you at your weakest moment. If you're struggling, I can support you. And not everybody will. Not everyone. Many people, this will be a very manageable thing to do. And so through the night, she got left behind by the group. And I said, look, I'm going to summit and I'm going to wait there till you come there. So everybody went down, and they were, they had various symptoms of headaches and throwing up, and it happened to one or two people. So they went to go down. They couldn't stay here so long. I said, I'm not going till I see Simran come. And so as they went back, I said, if you see Simran, tell her I'm waiting at the final summit. So she finally came an hour later after everybody. I waited there for her. It was the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. I literally broke down to tears seeing her come, and it was just awesome to be there to summit with her. And so this is really, really way more mental over physical. We'll be physically finished in about 2 days, and thereafter it's going to be a lot of our mental strength and using our mind to eat right, rest right, and use our energy wisely. And as you know, whatever goes up must come down. A very important thing everyone told me in this summit is they didn't anticipate how much energy they need to come back down from summit. So I'm sharing that. They said, please share that with anyone else that does this. So I'm making sure there's a slide just to emphasize you need to come down. This is Amir, who most of us will walk down. There's beautiful walkways like this that look like they're going just into the clouds. And they're the most beautiful things you can do. It's also chosen in this route. It's not on every route you could possibly do. However, some people must come down, and this is Pam, and she came down on a stretcher. So that's what a stretcher looks like. She was not medically unwell. She was just fatigued, and she couldn't move her legs. She said, "I was very tired. I can't control them. I must go down." And something that also happens to people at that altitude is they get impacted by the altitude. So there's what's called hypoxia, and which means it really brings out the worst of your moods, and you can really start swearing me, you could be cussing me, you could throw shit at me. I mean, hopefully don't throw stuff at me, but that happens to a lot of people. Their humanity is confronted. They think my life is at stake. I've got to do what I need to do to survive. So the survival instinct kicks in, and they think they're in danger. And so some people get quite emotionally strained and verbal about it. But I'm okay with it because I know that happens. And the moment we bring you down to a certain altitude, it's kind of like you sober up, the reverse off. This is us getting down to base. So at the bottom, there's this lovely congratulations board. The bottom image is us with the team of 46 celebrating. We had this big tipping ceremony and a dance. There's a live video on my Facebook page if you scroll down to the 24th of November. The top right is Amir and one of our guides, Josephat. Amir lost a tooth on the mountain. I mean, he had that tooth missing, so he had a denture tooth, but it got lost, funnily, on a day in the night. He threw up, and not everybody was throwing up. He was the only one. He was one of the most fittest. He was one of the most athletic. And the more competitive you are, the more athletic you are, the more you want to be ahead of the pack. And that was Amir at times. And sometimes that impacts your acclimatization. And so he ended up throwing up. There's a funny thing because we have an awards night, a humorous one that we celebrate, and he ended up throwing up and he vomited, puked out his tooth. And Josephat went in the dark and was able to find his tooth amongst his puke, and they brought it back. So it's a very funny story that we shared, and we celebrated it at our little awards night that we had this January. Anyway, that's day 7 coming down. Then we went out for this lovely big meal, and we went out clubbing to a couple of the clubs. We picked the wrong club that night, but it was a learning lesson. And this year we know the right one to go to. We've also partnered with some guys on the ground that really know the town a lot better than we do. So it's going to be epic going around there. But the following day was our day of seva, our day of reflection and gratitude. And we were fundraising for this particular school. And we are nothing in life. You want to know that wherever you are in your life, you're nothing in your community minus the people that build the foundation upon which you stand. And that the people that are that for us on this mountain are the porters and the guides. You cannot do this mountain on your own. You can't just go solo and say, I'm running to the top and down. You need a lot goes in. Overnight, people are carrying food and fresh veg and supplies for you, fresh water, the toilets being cleaned, showers being carried, food's being prepared, it's being served, your bags are being carried when you're struggling, they're looking out for you. And so we get to contribute to that society and community. So this is me. We were giving a talk. It was a Sunday. All the kids came in dressed in the uniform, excited to see us from out of town. We had a lovely talk and presentation about what we've done and fundraise for them. They got to share what they do as a school and how the school works. We got to meet the teacher. The gentleman on the right, the blue, is the chairman of the school. He was one of the guides as well. And so we really get connected to their world and appreciate their world and take nothing for granted that contributed to our summit. It's never about us, and we never really summit on our own. And on the mountain, you really get to crush and park away your ego, and we get to experience humility like never before. And so I think it's our greatest access to discovering our leadership. So what does this entail? The Leadership Summit is the 7-day route. It's 10-day Leadership Summit. We're doing the charity project. We're also doing the tree conservation project. There's going to be individual fundraising. This is what's different about this year. We've bought in better accommodation than we had last year. This accommodation, I'll show you photos of what they look like. The meals are going to be FITBANKER approved, and there won't be so much junk there that will get us fatigued and tired sooner than we normally ought to get tired. And like I said, I promise one life-transforming experience and a global family. This is a look at what our accommodation looks like. I mean, Anna Maria, you know, growing up in Zambia and Africa, a lot of the places could be hit and miss, but a place like this is rather luxurious in Africa. It's very beautifully themed, thatched roofs, huts, lovely buffet type places and barbecues that will happen at this place. These guys have camels in the yard if you want to do a little camel walk or ride around there. They've got a lovely swimming pool for us to swim in. I always say that it always depends on the pool being full at the time when we go there, but it really should be. It's a great time of year to go. Thereafter, those that want to do the safari, we are going to do a beautiful 4-day and 4-night safari, going to Lake Manyara, Ngorongoro Crater, and the Serengeti. Now, I've grown up in Zambia, and in all my life in Zambia, growing up where there are national game parks, I have never experienced what you get when you actually pay the price. So for me, growing up in Zambia, to pay something like £1,400 for a 4-day safari was ridiculous, because we have a relationship of money to time. We think that a certain amount of money needs to be stretched over a certain period of time before it occurs to us as reasonable. But Jay-Z, as you know, as Jay Shetty says, bring your energy to that period of time, not bringing your time or your interpretation of money. And what we got to do in 4 days, this safari is beautiful. I've never experienced something like this. On the bottom left are the safari vehicles that we use. They have these open roof lids. The right is us on the rim of the Ngorongoro crater. We stay in a hotel which overlooks this crater and looks into the crater. Top left are some of the animals. Top right is one of the Maasai villages that we go and visit and stop at. They do this little dance and welcome, and we go and stand in their huts and visit their huts. And, it's a beautiful tour and opportunity to see them. The wildlife gets so close. Out of the big 5, we saw 4 of the big 5, which means we saw rhino, we saw buffalo, we saw lions, we saw elephants. Only one that we didn't get to see were leopard. And so you get to see these amazing animals. This was literally about 2 meters away from me. And this is the question that JC had: can my daughter do this? So the age limit, the upper age limit, there is no upper age limit. The park has a policy which has a lower age limit, should be 10 years old. JC, how old is your daughter?
She is going to be 10 in August.
Awesome. So she will officially make the park policy age. However, the record is when we did this in 2014, we met a family, we shared about this with them. They wanted to do it. We connected them to our providers, and they went and did it with our providers, and they did it when he was 9. And he broke the UK for the record for the youngest in the UK. Since then, about 3 weeks or a month before we did it last year, an 8-year-old girl has done it. So the only condition is that if somebody's under 10, the parents need to sign off a particular disclaimer. Now that she's 10, she will be able to do that. There is no upper age limit. You can be 86. And fitness levels, people ask, how fit do I need to be? Well, there's a saying which is, this is more painful than childbirth. And my wife has done both, and she can confirm that that is true. Just 1 second. And then there are people that think I need to be really fit, or I need to first get fit before I do that. And you could be a marathon runner, or you could be somebody that has not done a mountain more than 300 meters. Guys, give me just 1 second. I have another call which is scheduled to come in. Okay, so you could be really fit, and that doesn't necessarily mean that your chances of success are higher. However, being fit will support you to sustain what's required on a day-to-day basis. There is a lot more, like I say, mental versus physical fitness. We will have a number of health checks each day. We have an oximeter to check our oxygen levels, and we have additional health and first aid equipment that we need along the way. There is likely on this summit, not yet confirmed, I only confirm people when they've actually signed up and paid, an ICU doctor that will be joining us. It's very unique to have somebody of that caliber joining us. And if you do, it's great. But it is no assurance, because we've had previous other climbers, not on our climb, but one of the other climbs I've heard, where the doctor there is the person that was taken down on day 3 because he fell unwell. So, your knowledge of health and fitness or you being a fit athlete doesn't really make a difference. This is an 86-year-old woman that did it. And this one is Martina Navratilova, who did not summit Mount Kilimanjaro. So she is top of the game in tennis, right? She's been number 1 in tennis for a while. She didn't get to summit Kilimanjaro, and she felt unwell with a mix of altitude as well as food poisoning. So it's not guaranteed. All we're going to do is we're going to keep increasing the chances of your success. In the last summit, 100% were able to summit it, and many, about 3 of them, thought they couldn't or wanted to give up, or it looked like there were a lot of challenges against them, but we supported them with rest, with nourishment, and with the mind coaching to have them do the final summit. There are 2 main things that happen to you with altitude. You can get cerebral edema, which is swelling of your brain, or you can get what's called pulmonary edema, which is bits of your lung begin to disintegrate and you can cough them out as blood. And when that happens, it's not a great thing. It doesn't mean you will die. It can get fatal. There is a small percentage of fatalities, but it's a very insignificant amount. It is to be mindful of, but it's not something to avoid, right? We're just going to provide all that's needed to support you. There are risks, as mentioned. There's no guarantee on summiting. We don't want you to make it about the summit. We want you to make it about every step along the way. Focus on every step, work with your team, work with your community, and the summit will be a byproduct of that. There's an increased chance of success with this route and days. As I mentioned, the global percentage of people summiting is 60%. We, and with our providers, they're around about 93%. And this particular route, and having us done it before, we've had 100% summit. There's the risk of illness and injury and weather that we can't predict or forecast. Sometimes it could just show up. And then there's the tentative bonus, like I mentioned, of based on numbers, we would have fire walking session at base. And again, based on numbers, we would be able to gather, we would be able to get a cameraman and videographer to capture this and make little clips of what it will take. Of course, we will have our own cameras and video we can take, but with altitude, certain things freeze, they get dirty, our lenses get messed up. So it's great to have somebody that can really work with us to bring it together. Okay, the most dangerous risk of all, in my view, in life is the risk of spending your life not doing what you want on the bet you can buy yourself the freedom to do it later. And I got that firsthand when we did this in 2014. I came down, I met this 63-year-old or 70-year-old uncle of mine, and he was really asking me very enthusiastically, what did you do? How did you do it? Which route did you do? How many days? What was the food like? What were the tents? And I said he was so interested in it. So I asked him, I said, Uncle, you're so interested, do you want to come and do this? And he goes, no, son, let me tell you, about 37 years ago, when I was your age, me and your auntie went up there. We were at the base and we were signed up. We were ready to go. We were just about to make the payment. And as we were making the payment, something got in us and we said, you know what? This is our first trip to Moshi. Why don't we go and visit so-and-so person? Why don't we go into a game park? We have enough days here, but why don't we use them to visit people and see the game park? We'll come back next year and do Kilimanjaro. And that next year never came for them. And 37 years later, he's now in a place mentally and with his health where he believes he cannot do it. I, of course, I have a viewpoint of life that any human being can do what any human being can do. And so I will always tell him he can. But he's very convinced of the view, and he has a number of health conditions and heart conditions that's going to give him hold on to the opinion that he cannot. And I really got present to that. So that's why whenever people tell me when's the right time to do it, when's the best year to do it, and if you think you have holidays or weddings or changes in jobs or personal breakdown in your relationship or something going through, the right moment to do anything is now, right? So if you want to do something, I invite you to step into it and take it on. So what does this leadership summit include or entail? It's 2,900. You can do Kilimanjaro. I'll be straight with you. You can do it from anything over about 17 or 1,800 pounds up to 10,000 pounds. But you kind of get what you pay for, right? So we have somebody that did it last year with a charity. She paid, I think, 1,400 pounds. There were scary stories of where at breakfast time, they were all given a loaf of bread and everybody took a slice. And if there was more left after everyone has had one, then they will get a second slice. And you cannot do that to human beings on a mountain that need reliable, sustainable energy. And so I would rather you don't go budget on something of this nature. You get the best caliber of tents. We've had tents previously where the zips get broken and the cold gets in the night. You're getting -5 degrees temperature. You cannot afford to compromise on quality. Of course, we may be faced with certain challenges and setbacks, but we want to minimize the number of those. Last year was 3 nights accommodation. This year we're going to have 4 nights, so there's an extra night we've thrown in. And we didn't change the price on that. We were able to do that because the dollar versus the pound, as the pound is slightly stronger. All the meals on the climb are provided. We carry, which not everyone does, toilets and showers along the way on our climb. I will also provide you with training and nutrition guidance along the way. For those in the UK, we have the monthly treks, which you can join. And if you're not in the UK, I will encourage you and support you to say, go out on a trek, join this community. If you're in Zambia, I know people there, so I'll tell you which ones to go and join. If you're in the US, I'll invite you to join certain groups, and we will support you on what to pack and train and how to prepare for it. We'll give you the full gear and equipment list. There are also recommended brands and quality. If you're buying it from the UK, or if you're from somewhere else where you want us to order it from the UK, so we had people from Zambia, Spain, and Switzerland. They all ordered it from the UK because we have negotiated some major discounts on the gear. I spent £700 in 2014 for gear, and now people were able to buy all that gear for £400. We also provided the FITBANKER t-shirts. What's not included is you have to obviously buy your own gear. The budget is about 350 to £400. If you already have some gear, then you just need to buy what you don't have on the list. You need to book your own flight. From the UK, we're getting flights for as low as £370. I paid £395 for mine return from London to Kilimanjaro and back. And then we're going to give tips to the porters. Budget, this you have to carry in cash, about £100. Otherwise, the rest is taken care of, other than a couple meals out at restaurants if we choose to go out. Otherwise, on the mountain and at the base, bed and breakfast is provided. So just the lunch and supper at base is what we need to cover. So if you'd like to be in, the next steps are, I do apologize, there's a typo there. The first 10 packages were we were sponsoring 10% of it at 2,610. And if you're paying in installments, you'd have to pay £1,000 down, and then the balance needs to be paid up by end of August. The current price is not the full price of 2,900, but if you do pay in one installment, I'd still be able to sponsor £150 of it, so you'd pay 2,750 if you're paying in full. We already have about 15 or 16 people committed and signed up, so it's a bigger group already now, and we are already so many months away. So if you'd like to sign up, let me know. £300 is non-refundable, and you have to, throughout this, stay connected to why you're doing this, what is the area you want to transform, and the coaching begins from the moment you sign up to much after we've done Kilimanjaro, as we stay connected as family and friends beyond this. Any questions, guys?
Thank you so much. No questions for me at this time, but I will be in touch with you offline. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thanks so much for being on, and thanks for staying on the time. JC?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I unmute. Yes, thank you. This sounds very fun, and I can't wait. The only thing is, how much is in dollar?
It just depends on the rate. Right now, 2,610, I think it's translating to about 1.3, is coming to slightly over 3,000. So it's coming to about 3,435.
Okay, around 3,000.
Yeah, slightly more than that. Yeah, it just depends on the rate.
Yeah, a little
but...
over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sounds terrific.
Okay, so yeah, go on, Anna Maria.
Sorry, Ronnie. So you're saying if we sign up within the next few days, we can get the 2,610 rate. You also mentioned the 2,750, so I wasn't sure which one.
No, the 2,610 was for the first 10, and those have all gone. But what I'm saying is, I would, instead of paying 2,900, if you are paying in one installment, I would still give you a further discount of about £150. So it will come to 2,750, right?
Okay.
It will be
And JC, that's roughly $3,800.
I think so. It depends what the rate is today, but it might be. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So that might be at 2,750, at 27.
Yeah, 2750. It's roughly. I just did the. I guess it depends, yeah, on the rate. You're right. It may change, but it's 379 in US dollars.
The rate I'm using 1.34 is 3685. Yeah.
And I'm guessing that is not including the safari, right?
No, it's not including the safari. The safari is, if you're doing the safari in addition to the climb, the safari is 1400. If some people are coming only for safari, which is not our objective because the safari is just a holiday, we are facilitating everything. And for the safari, you don't need anything. You just need to bring a camera and your clothes, right? Every meal is included, every piece of transport, water along the way, cocktails, everything is included, right? So there will be some extra drinks you might want to buy at certain odd times, but everything is included otherwise.
So that we need to pay extra for that.
For the safari, yes. And if you want to choose the safari later, you can do so. But if you want to commit to this and there's also a limited number of 10 packs at 2750. And then once these are gone, then it will be the full price. So we have just a whole group of people waiting to sign up as well. But you're in when you've paid. And if you want to go the installment route, so you're going to pay your deposit down, then it will be £1,000 down. The reason we have a non-refundable amount is, of course, because we need to lock in stuff on the ground, and there's cost and admin around that. And so it also has us make sure we are dealing with people that are serious contenders on this, because a lot of planning and preparation goes into this.
Absolutely. I have two questions actually that have just come up. Okay, will we be able to get a list of recommended gear, perhaps in the next few days or whenever you can get that together?
I can get that to you now after this call. Yeah, I've got a list of recommended gear, and feel free to use it whether you go with us or not, it's up to you. That's fine. But we have recommended gear, and beyond that, they're recommended brands. And give you an example, in the UK, we have a brand called Mountain Warehouse, where you get, in addition to when items are on sale, we get a further 20% off. To give you an example, a sleeping bag that you need for this costs £89 for this particular climate. We got people buying them for £32. Do you know Abba Patel from Zambia?
Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, Abba, of course you do. Yeah. So Abba has signed up, and she bought a sleeping bag for like 30 something quid, and the list price was £89. So, there's a big savings to be had, because as a group, we can accomplish so much more. When we do them individually, it does cost you so much more. And I paid the price in 2014 where we didn't have our provider give any support like this to us. But you have me on call on demand, and if you're overseas and we need to ship something to you, I also have a DHL account, and we will just pass on the cost of that to you if we need to freight something over to you.
Okay, that's another question I was going to ask. So anyway, okay, we can definitely talk offline. I don't want to keep you longer than you have to, but I'm fine. The other question that I have, which is lingering, is I just want to make sure that the dates are definitely set. So there's no chance that the dates will change from the 30th of November to the 9th of December, correct? Like those are set in stone?
Those are set in stone. You need to be in Kilimanjaro on 29th, though.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
30th in the morning, we're going to wake up, beautiful sunrise. Let's kick off with some yoga. Let's do some breathing exercise. Let's get into a nice workshop style session. And maybe we'll have a little swim before the day. Maybe we'll end with a nice fire walk if we get the numbers. And the next day morning, again, lovely stretch, exercise, and let's get this party started.
Okay, that sounds awesome, Ronnie. Yeah, so I'll contact you offline and for that list, and then for further discussion.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Guys, any questions you have, ask me. Anything outside of the Kilimanjaro Leadership Summit around health, ask me. And just thank you for your time being here. So if there's any way I can support you, just as mates that we're connected, please always feel free to reach out to me if anything I can help you with. JC, any other questions?
I will WhatsApp you with
Okay.
all of my questions.
Awesome.
And I would like to be connected with you because so far I have been learning about you. You are inspire a lot of people, and that is wonderful.
Thank you so much. All right. Please do reach out, JC, and thank you for initiating the initial contact when you saw this on Facebook. So thank you so much. Okay. Bye for now,
Thank you.
guys. I'm going to leave you with
Thank
this
you,
last
Ronnie.
message. You are not the things you own. You are the stories you tell. So please, guys, whether with me or with whoever else, fill your life with experiences, not things, and live a powerful life. We've got one life, one world. Have an awesome evening, guys. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you, JC. Keep well. I hope to hear from you soon.
All right.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.